Hello, I'm Kiwi in Space, and there's a question about today's moviegoers that needs to be asked. Why is it that people prefer big, dumb action blockbuster movies over more intelligent, nuanced movies? To me, there's no right answer for it, but here's what my thoughts on it are. I do get it. There's a lot of people out there who work boring, miserable 9-to-5 jobs. They get back home, they're feeling tired, and they just want to watch a movie. Only what to watch? A hardcore drama or a good simple fun movie? That's why I think, at least. So, where do I stand? I actually enjoy both. For as much as I see the value in intelligent, non-linear movies, I'm also not against the simple pleasure of just wanting to enjoy a movie either. With that being said though, the movies that do come along and break the mold of black and white should be highlighted too. What I'm about to talk about are movies that beg to be analyzed, discussed, and viewed multiple times. Why? Because they deserve it. Without further ado, get your thinking caps on. Here is my list of the top 5 new thought-provoking science fiction movies. No, this is not a plugin for Apple, this is seriously just the cap I had on standby. And just a heads up, this video is going to contain major spoilers for each of these movies. In order to talk about these movies and their inner workings, I need to talk about their endings. Now, let's start. Number 5. Ex Machina. This is a movie about a man named Caleb who wins a contest to meet his reclusive boss Nolan. The boss, as it turns out, created a robot named Ava with an incredibly advanced AI. And he wants Caleb to talk to it, which for him is incredibly exciting. An AI with human-level intelligence? Sounds great, right? But then he starts finding things out about Nolan that are a little disturbing and that he actually can't trust him. And the more he finds out, the more convinced he is to join Ava's side and help her escape. So he frees Ava, only to have Ava betray him and escape into the real world, leaving Caleb possibly to die. What I took away from this was, it's about how we're romanticizing technology. Today we literally use technology for everything. Shopping, entertainment, talking to each other. But it's gone to this point now where we have become overly reliant on technology. And the question must be asked, what if technology turned on us? Could we survive it, or are we doomed to be brought down by our own creations? Other movies like Bladerunner and The Terminator have touched on themes like this as well. So it's great to see this message echoed in a time period that desperately needs it. Number 4. War for the Planet of the Apes. One of the best things about the new Planet of the Apes trilogy is its success at recreating the message of the original movie. A warning of the dangers of science and how if we're not careful, it could be our downfall. But out of all 3 of the movies, the one that I'm going to talk about is the third one, War for the Planet of the Apes. Not only does this movie drip with atmosphere, not only does it have a killer performance by Andy Serkis, but I also think it's the one with the most unique message out of the 3. In this one, the ape tribe led by series protagonist Caesar is attacked by a group of humans led by a man simply known as the Colonel. And 2 of the casualties happen to be Caesar's wife and child. Enraged, Caesar begins a quest to avenge his family, but it starts coming at the cost of everything. Right down to putting his tribe in danger and his friends at risk. Then, when he finally finds his targets, not only does he find his enemy, but a reflection of himself. In the movie's one exposition scene, the Colonel tells Caesar that his son got infected by the simian flu, the virus that makes apes intelligent and humans dumb. So he had no choice but to kill his only son.
I pulled the trigger. You purified me.
When I first saw this scene, I thought it was a brilliant way of connecting these 2 characters. Caesar and the Colonel are 2 different versions of the same person. They both have similar backstories, motivations of vengeance, but circumstances have forced them into a conflict that have made them rivals. The war for the planet of the apes is the war that Caesar is fighting within himself. The movie is talking about how we act more on impulse and emotion than rational thinking. Number 3. Annihilation. This is another movie from Alex Garland, the man who directed Ex Machina. It's about a woman named Lena who about a year ago lost her husband. But then one day he miraculously just shows up again alive, but not entirely well. She later finds out that this was due to his last mission. Him and his team were sent into this place called the Shimmer, which looks like... just take a look for yourself, I actually can't describe it. This thing, whatever it is, it crashed into a lighthouse and it's growing and growing. So in order to stop it, Lena and a group of others venture into the Shimmer to find the lighthouse and also hopefully figure out what happened to Lena's husband. Much like with Ex Machina, there's a heavy emphasis on visual storytelling. Not everything in this movie gets explained. It's a beautiful but deadly world. A place where science and nature have collided, for better or worse. And of course, we have to talk about the ending. But not the ending when Lena gets to the lighthouse and has that face-off with the alien. The discussion they have afterwards.
It was mutating our environment. It was destroying everything.
It wasn't destroying. It was changing everything. It was making something new.
That exposition is what summed up the movie's message for me. Annihilation is a movie that is talking about our fear of change, but it does so by giving us realistic reasons for it. The alien was not an evil being, it was just doing what it needed to survive. And that meant changing Earth's atmosphere for itself. It had absolutely no idea of the damage it was doing. And in doing so, it created an unintentional war between itself and planet Earth. It's a subtle way of talking about how humans fear what they don't understand. And if we don't understand it, we lash out at it. As for the last shot of the movie, well, draw your own conclusion on that one. Number 2. Arrival. Another movie about venturing into the unknown, although this movie isn't quite as threatening as Annihilation. In this movie, the aliens have come to Earth for the simple sake of talking with us. Yeah, that's it. Not to invade us or destroy us, they simply wish to deliver a message. This is a favorite of mine because, at the surface, it's actually a very simple story about communication. And I actually think it's entertaining watching the humans and the heptapods, as they're called, learning off from each other. It's a simple setup, but with a lot of depth to its story, and it all leads up to a surprising and unusual payoff. Throughout the movie, the main character, named Louise, keeps getting flashbacks of her days with her daughter, right up until her unfortunate death. But for some reason, her flashbacks become more and more intense as the movie goes along. However, in the end, it turns out the movie was tricking you. While Louise has been learning the heptapod's language, she hasn't been seeing visions of the past, she's been seeing visions of the future. Learning the heptapod's language has been giving her this power, and she hasn't been seeing the daughter that she had, it's the daughter that she's going to have. While Annihilation is a movie that talks about the fear of the future, Arrival is a movie that talks about confronting it. It's basically saying, yes, the future is a scary place, but that's exactly why we should walk into it. And number 1. Bladerunner 2049. This is such a rare movie for its time. Blade Runner 2049 is a visual atmospheric masterpiece that does an amazing job of following in the footsteps of its forebearer. It's smart, it has good callbacks to the original, and dare I even say it, it might even be better than the original. Don't get me wrong, the first movie is good, but it's the kind of movie you need an acquired taste for and need to be in the mood for in order to watch it. This feels like a more complete movie. It's just as slow and nuanced as the original, but feels more watchable. The plot follows a replicant programmed to be a Bladerunner simply named K, who on his last mission unearthed a secret that goes beyond any logic that anybody can comprehend. So he looks into it, and not only does he find out how far this goes back to the past, he might even be linked to it. As he dives further and further in, he discovers that everything he was told was a lie. He's not a replicant, he wasn't built, he was born.
I know it's real.
To me, it's a movie that touches on what it means to be human. The cyberpunk theme has always been about how technology is both a blessing and a curse, how it creates so many conveniences for us, but it's also taking away our humanity, whereas our creations, on the other hand, are becoming more human.
More human than humans.
We are becoming robots, while robots are becoming humans. But on top of the philosophical edge, it's also just a straight up great movie. There's plenty of twists and turns, the characters are surprisingly memorable, and it's one of the most visually interesting movies I've ever seen in my life. Not just having lots of colors, there's lots of scenes that have no dialogue in them. It just lets the atmosphere sink in and relies on visual storytelling. It's a movie that really takes its time with itself. And as such, it is very long, but if you have time for it, I wholeheartedly recommend checking it out and seeing what you can uncover in the year 2049. Whew, well, that was a bit much. I hope you all enjoyed, and for now, see ya.